Output your state pension or pension credit is paid into a bank account. Important DWP rules now affect what information must be kept up to date, and, in some cases, what information banks may provide to the Department for Work and Pensions. But before you panic, here is the most important fact. The new DWP bank account checking power does not apply to the state pension itself. However, it can apply to pension credit. That distinction is extremely important because many state pension recipients also claim pension credit or other means-tested support. In this video, I will explain who may be affected, what banks can and cannot share, which changes pensioners must report, and how to protect your payments from delays and scams. Please watch until the end, because I will also give you a 5-point bank account checklist that could help prevent a missed or delayed pension payment. And output your value clear, factual updates for UK pensioners, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We check the official rules so you can separate genuine DWP announcements from frightening online rumours. Let us begin with the biggest misunderstanding. Section 1. Are state pension bank accounts being monitored? You may have seen headlines claiming that the DWP can now examine every pensioner's bank account, monitor every purchase, and automatically stop the state pension output if something looks unusual. That is not an accurate description of the rules. New eligibility verification powers allow the DWP to require banks and other financial institutions to check accounts receiving certain specified benefits against particular eligibility indicators. The benefits initially covered include universal credit, pension credit, and employment and support allowance. However, the state pension is explicitly excluded. This is because the state pension is mainly based on a person's national insurance record. It is not a means-tested benefit, so the amount of money in your savings account does not normally determine whether you qualify. A pensioner does not lose their state pension simply because they have substantial savings, receive an inheritance, or keep money in more than one account. Therefore, output the only DWP payment you receive is the state pension. The new eligibility verification bank checks do not apply to that pension. The law also prevents the state pension from simply being added to the system through ordinary regulations in the future. Any claim that every state pension recipient is now automatically subject to these checks is misleading. But the position changes output you also receive pension credit. Pension credit is means-tested. Your income, savings, and personal circumstances can affect how much you receive. This means an account receiving pension credit can fall within the eligibility verification system. That does not mean every pension credit recipient has done something wrong. It does not mean the bank is accusing you of fraud. And it does not mean your benefit will be automatically cancelled. The purpose of the system is to identify information that might suggest a payment should be reviewed. For example, an eligibility indicator could relate to capital or evidence that someone may have spent more time outside the country than the benefit rules permit. Output an account matches an indicator, the bank may return limited information to the DWP. The DWP must then consider whether a further inquiry is necessary. Most importantly, a human must be involved before a decision affecting someone's entitlement is made. A computer-generated match should not by itself remove a person's benefit. Section 2. What can a bank actually share? There is another major misconception. These powers do not give DWP employees unrestricted access to your online banking. The DWP cannot simply log into your account, scroll through your transactions and examine everything you have purchased. Under the official safeguards, financial institutions may be required to provide limited information specified in an eligibility verification notice. This could include the account number and sort code, the account holder's name and date of birth, and information showing how an account matched a relevant eligibility indicator. Transaction information, meaning a detailed record of where and how you spent your money, is excluded from this eligibility verification process. Sensitive information concerning matters such as health, ethnicity, or political opinions is also protected. Banks can face penalties. They provide information they were not permitted to share. The system can apply to the account receiving the specified benefit, and, in certain circumstances, an account linked to it. This matters for people with joint accounts or several accounts held with the same institution. But remember the central distinction. This new verification measure concerns specified means-tested or income-related benefits, including pension credit. It does not cover the state pension itself. You receive both payments into the same account. The pension credit element may bring that account within the verification process, even though your state pension remains excluded as a benefit. Section 3. Savings and pension credit. For many older people, the most relevant issue will be savings. Pension credit does not normally impose an absolute upper savings limit in the same way as universal credit. Having more than £10,000 does not automatically mean you cannot receive pension credit. Instead, capital above £10,000 can be treated as producing an assumed amount of weekly income, often called tariff income. Generally, every £500, or part of £500, above £10,000 is treated as producing £1 of weekly income when pension credit is calculated. Imagine a person has £12,200 in countable capital. That is £2,200 above the £10,000 threshold. Because part of £500 also counts as a full band, this could be treated as 5 £500 units, creating £5 a week of assumed income. This assumed income may reduce the pension credit award, depending on the person's overall circumstances. However, not every asset is necessarily counted in the same way. The home in which you normally live is not treated like cash savings, and some forms of capital may be disregarded temporarily or permanently. That is why pensioners should not cancel a claim or assume they are ineligible based on a single figure heard online. Individual circumstances matter. The practical rule is simple. You receive pension credit and your savings, income, or household circumstances change, report the change through the correct official channel. Do not wait for a bank check to identify a difference. Reporting a relevant change promptly helps ensure that you receive the correct amount and reduces the risk of an overpayment that may later have to be repaid. Section 4. Changing the account. Receiving your pension. Whether you receive the basic state pension or the new state pension, payments are usually made every 4 weeks into an account of your choice. Benefits can generally be paid into a bank, building society, or credit union account. You want your state pension paid into a different account, you must inform the pension service. Do not simply close the old account and assume the DWP will discover the new details automatically. Output, the old account is closed before the new instruction has been processed. A payment could be rejected or delayed. A safer approach is to keep the existing account open until the pension service confirms that the change has been made and you see the first successful payment in the new account. Before contacting the pension service, prepare the following details: your full name, your national insurance number, the name on the new account, the bank or building society name, the sort code, the account number, and, where relevant, a building society roll number. Check every digit carefully. One incorrect number can send the instruction into further verification or cause the payment to fail. The official pension service telephone number for people in Great Britain is 080 0731 0469. At the time of this script, the published opening hours are Monday to Friday, 8 AM to 6 PM, excluding public holidays. Some changes can also be reported using the official Manage Your State Pension service on gov.uk. People in Northern Ireland should contact the Northern Ireland Pension Centre. Those living overseas should contact the International Pension Centre instead. Never use a telephone number sent in an unexpected text message. Type gov.uk into your browser yourself and find the pension service page there. Section 5. Can your pension be paid into someone else's account? For most people, having the pension paid into an account in their own name is the simplest arrangement. However, the rules can allow other arrangements. For pensioners living abroad, official guidance confirms that the state pension can be paid into an account in their own name, a joint account, or someone else's account, provided they have that person's permission and comply with the account's terms and conditions. Nevertheless, using another person's account can create practical risks. You may have less direct control over the money. It may be harder to establish which funds belong to you. Problems could also arise: output the account holder dies, loses mental capacity, becomes involved in a dispute, or has their account restricted. A joint account can also affect the way capital is considered for means-tested benefits such as pension credit. Do not assume that money in a joint account will always be ignored simply because another person also uses it. Output you need help managing your affairs, ask the pension service about an official appointee arrangement, or consider obtaining appropriate advice about a power of attorney. These formal arrangements can offer clearer protection than casually redirecting payments to a relative's personal account. Section 6. Changes you must report. People receiving the state pension or the over 80 pension must report certain changes to the pension service. These include changing bank details, moving home, moving permanently to another country, moving into residential care, marrying or forming a civil partnership, divorcing, becoming widowed, going into prison or legal custody, and starting or stopping another DWP benefit. Pension credit has additional reporting requirements because entitlement can depend on income, capital, and household circumstances. A relevant change could include receiving an inheritance, selling property, changes to private or workplace pension income, a partner moving in or out, or a significant change in savings. Failing to report a change can lead to an incorrect payment. Output you receive too much, the DWP may seek to recover the overpayment. Output you receive too little because a change was not reported, you could miss support to which you were entitled. Keep a record whenever you report something. Write down the date, time, telephone number called, the name of the person you spoke to, output available, and any reference number provided. Output you send documents by post. Keep copies and consider using a method that provides proof of posting. Section 7. What happens output the DWP contacts you? A request for information does not automatically mean you are suspected of committing fraud. Sometimes a discrepancy is caused by an old record, a joint account, an unreported but innocent change, or information that has been interpreted incorrectly. Read the letter carefully and note the deadline. Check that it is genuine by comparing the contact details with those independently listed on gov.uk. Output, you are uncertain, call the official pension service number rather than a number printed in an unexpected message. Provide accurate information, but do not send online banking passwords, PINs, or one-time security codes. The DWP, your bank and the police, should never need these details. Output. The DWP makes a decision that reduces or ends a benefit, and you believe it is wrong. The letter should explain your options. Depending on the decision, you may be able to request a mandatory reconsideration and later appeal to an independent tribunal. Organisations such as Citizens Advice or an independent welfare rights advisor may be able to help you understand the decision and prepare supporting evidence. Section 8. The 2026 Scam Warning. Whenever genuine rules change, criminals create fake messages around them. A scammer may claim that your state pension will be suspended unless you verify your bank account immediately. They may send a link to a convincing imitation of a government website, or ask you to telephone a fake DWP security department. Others may pretend that a new pension payment is waiting and request a small release fee. Do not act under pressure. The DWP will not ask for your full online banking password or bank card PIN. A genuine official will not ask you to move your pension into a safe account. No legitimate bank, police officer, or government department will ask for a one-time passcode so they can secure your money. Never install remote access software on the instructions of an unexpected caller. Output. You receive a suspicious message. Do not click its link. Find the correct organisation independently. Output. You believe money is at risk. Contact your bank immediately using the number on the back of your card. Your 5-point pension bank account checklist. Before we finish, complete these 5 checks. First, confirm that the pension service holds your current address and contact details. Second, verify that the account receiving your pension remains open, accessible, and correctly registered. Third, output, you change accounts. Inform the pension service directly and keep the old account open until the first payment reaches the new one. Fourth, output, you receive pension credit. Report relevant changes to your savings, income, and household circumstances promptly. Fifth, reject unexpected messages asking you to verify your pension through a link, disclose security codes, or transfer money. The headline message is clear. Your state pension is not subject to the new eligibility verification bank checks. but pension credit is included, and all pensioners must continue to keep their bank and personal details accurate. Knowing that difference can protect you from unnecessary fear, prevent payment problems, and help you recognise scams. Output. This explanation helped you. Please press the like button, subscribe, and share the video with another pensioner who may have seen worrying headlines about DWP bank checks. And tell us in the comments, have you received any letter or suspicious message claiming that you must verify your bank account to continue receiving your pension? As those savings begin to add up, another important area deserves attention because it is often overlooked until someone receives an unexpected letter through the post. That is help with housing costs. Many pensioners assume that once they own a home or have lived in the same property for many years, there is no further financial support available. Others believe housing benefit only applies to younger people or families with children. In reality, some pensioners who rent their home may still qualify for housing benefit, depending on their circumstances. Although many working-age claimants now receive housing support through universal credit, different rules continue to apply for many people who have reached state pension age. Output. Your income has fallen since retirement or your circumstances have changed. It may be worth checking whether you qualify instead of assuming the answer is no. Life can change much more quickly than people expect. A husband or wife may pass away, leaving one person to manage all the household bills alone. Someone may retire earlier than planned because of illness. Savings that once seemed comfortable can gradually shrink as energy bills, food prices, and other everyday costs continue to rise. These changes can affect eligibility for different kinds of support. That is why financial advisors often encourage pensioners to review their situation every year rather than relying on decisions made several years ago. What was correct in the past may no longer be correct today. Another area where many pensioners unknowingly spend more than necessary involves TV licensing. There is a widespread myth that everyone over a certain age automatically receives a free TV license. Years ago, many people became familiar with this idea, and even now it continues to appear in conversations and social media posts. However, the rules changed some time ago. Today, free TV licenses are available only for people who meet specific eligibility requirements, rather than simply reaching a certain birthday. That is why it is important not to rely on outdated information. Output. Someone assumes their license is automatically free without meeting the conditions. They could end up facing unexpected problems later. On the other hand, people who do meet the eligibility requirements should make sure they have claimed the support available to them instead of continuing to pay unnecessarily. Let's also talk about something that affects many older people every winter. Heating a home has become one of the biggest financial concerns for pensioners across the country. Nobody wants to choose between staying warm and keeping enough money aside for groceries or other essentials. While energy prices move up and down over time, heating remains a major expense for anyone living on a fixed retirement income. This is why different government support schemes continue to receive so much attention. Some forms of help are based on receiving qualifying benefits, while others depend on household circumstances. There may also be local authority grants or charitable support available in certain areas for people facing exceptional financial hardship. The important point is that support is rarely automatic for every household. Knowing what you qualify for is often just as important as knowing the schemes exist. Unfortunately, scammers understand this as well. Every year, fraudsters target pensioners by claiming they can arrange special grants, refunds, or energy discounts in exchange for personal information or an upfront payment. Some send convincing text messages pretending to come from government departments. Others make telephone calls claiming that your benefit is about to stop unless you confirm your bank details immediately. These scams become especially common whenever genuine benefit announcements appear in the news. That is why it is always safest to ignore unexpected messages asking for sensitive information. Official organisations do not ask people to hand over passwords or full banking details through random phone calls or text messages. Taking a few extra minutes to verify who you are speaking to can protect both your money and your personal information. Now let's return to healthcare, because dental treatment is another area where confusion often leads people to spend money they might not need to spend. Many pensioners believe that reaching retirement age automatically makes NHS dental treatment free. That is not always the case. Eligibility depends on specific circumstances rather than age alone. Some people qualify because they receive certain benefits, while others may still need to contribute towards treatment costs. This is one reason why understanding your overall benefit entitlement is so important. One successful claim in one area may influence your eligibility somewhere else. Instead of looking at each expense separately, it often makes sense to consider your financial situation as a whole. There is also practical support available that many people simply never hear about. Some local councils and charities offer assistance with home improvements aimed at helping older people remain independent for longer. This could include small adaptations that make daily life safer and easier, particularly for those with mobility difficulties. Every local area operates differently, so what is available in one part of the country may not be available somewhere else. Even so, asking the question costs nothing, and many families later discover support they never realised existed. One reason these conversations matter so much is because retirement today looks very different from retirement a generation ago. Many pensioners are living longer, staying active for more years, and continuing to support children and grandchildren financially whenever they can. At the same time, everyday living costs have increased, meaning every pound has to work harder than before. Saving a little on council tax, reducing travel expenses, receiving help with heating, or avoiding unnecessary healthcare costs may not sound dramatic on their own, but together they can make a meaningful difference over the course of a year. Think about it this way. Imagine someone saves a small amount each month on transport because they qualify for a concessionary bus pass. They also receive council tax reduction after checking their eligibility, and later discover they qualify for pension credit, which opens the door to additional support. They start using free NHS eye tests available to them and avoid paying for services they no longer need to pay for. None of these individual changes turns someone into a millionaire, but together they reduce financial pressure and provide greater peace of mind. That is often the real value of understanding the system. Another mistake people make is assuming that output they were refused support once, they should never apply again. Circumstances change, benefit rules can change, income changes, household composition changes. Someone who was not eligible 2 years ago could become eligible today. That is why organisations that advise older people regularly encourage people to review their entitlement from time to time, instead of assuming an old decision will always remain correct. It can be surprising how one change in income or household circumstances affects eligibility for several different forms of assistance. Families also have an important role to play. Many adult children assume their parents know exactly what support they receive, while parents often assume there is nothing more available than the state pension itself. Sometimes neither assumption is correct. Having an open conversation about household finances may feel uncomfortable at first, but it can prevent older relatives from missing valuable help simply because nobody ever discussed it. Even helping a parent complete an online eligibility checker or gather the documents needed for an application can make the process much less stressful. The truth is that many pensioners are proud of their independence and hesitate to ask for help. They may think other people need the support more than they do, or they may worry about being judged for claiming benefits after working and paying taxes throughout their lives. However, these schemes exist because Parliament created them to support people who meet the eligibility rules. Output you qualify, claiming what you are entitled to, is not taking something away from someone else. It is making use of support that exists for exactly that purpose. This is also why it is important to separate genuine information from sensational headlines. Seeing a headline that says every pensioner can stop paying a certain bill overnight may attract attention, but reality is usually more detailed. The real question is not whether everyone receives the same benefit. The real question is whether you personally qualify for assistance that could reduce your household costs. That is the question worth answering, and it is one that could genuinely improve your financial situation. There is another reason these discussions matter so much in 2026. Many pensioners are living on a carefully planned budget. They know roughly how much comes into their bank account each month, and they know almost exactly where every pound goes. The state pension may cover the basics, but once council tax, electricity, gas, water, food, insurance, and other everyday expenses are paid, there is often very little left over for unexpected costs. That is why even relatively small discounts or reductions can make a noticeable difference. Saving £10 here, £20 there, and a little more somewhere else might not seem life-changing on paper, but over 12 months those savings can become several £100s that remain in your pocket instead of leaving it. Let's also talk about water bills, because this is another area where some older people may be able to reduce costs, depending on where they live and their individual circumstances. There is no nationwide rule saying every pensioner receives free or reduced water charges simply because of their age. However, some water companies operate social tariff schemes, or provide additional support for customers on lower incomes or those facing financial difficulties. The exact rules vary from one supplier to another, which means it is always worth contacting your water company output you are struggling with bills. Many people never ask because they assume the answer will be no. Yet some discover there are payment plans or discounted tariffs available that they did not know existed. Insurance is another household expense that often increases quietly over time. Home insurance, contents insurance, and even car insurance can all become more expensive output policies simply renew automatically every year. Although this is not a government benefit, it is still one of the easiest ways many pensioners can reduce monthly costs. Taking time to compare prices before renewal or speaking directly with your insurer may result in a better deal. Some companies also provide products specifically designed for older customers. While it is important never to reduce essential cover just to save money, reviewing policies regularly can help avoid paying more than necessary. Food costs have also become a major concern for many retired households. Most people have noticed that everyday shopping is more expensive than it was a few years ago. Pensioners often tell the same story. They buy the same products, visit the same supermarket, and somehow the total at the checkout keeps climbing. While there is no special nationwide grocery discount available for every pensioner, there are local community programs, supermarket initiatives, and charities that sometimes provide additional support to people experiencing hardship. Again, these vary from place to place, which is why checking what is available locally can be worthwhile. One thing that often surprises people is how connected different forms of support can be. Imagine someone successfully claims pension credit after believing for years they were not entitled to it. That single successful application could then affect eligibility for other forms of assistance, such as help with council tax, certain NHS costs, or other support schemes linked to qualifying benefits. This is why advisors frequently describe pension credit as a gateway benefit. It is not only about the payment itself. It can open doors to other financial help that may reduce several household expenses at the same time. Let's take a simple example. Imagine Margaret, who is 73 and lives alone after losing her husband several years ago. She has always been careful with money. Every bill is paid on time, and she rarely spends anything on herself. She believes she receives everything she is entitled to because she gets her state pension every 4 weeks. One afternoon, her daughter helps her complete an online benefits check. To Margaret's surprise, she discovers she may qualify for pension credit. After making a successful claim, she also becomes eligible for additional help that reduces some of her regular household costs. Nothing about her lifestyle changed overnight. The biggest difference was simply discovering support she had never realised was available. Stories like this happen more often than many people think. Then there is David, a retired bus mechanic who has lived in the same house for more than 30 years. He assumed council tax was simply another bill that everyone had to pay in full forever. During a conversation with a neighbour, he learns about his local authority's council tax reduction scheme. After checking his circumstances, he finds he qualifies for a reduction because of his income. Once again, the saving is not because of a brand new national rule. It comes from understanding existing support and taking the time to apply. These examples show why it is dangerous to believe everything shared online. Social media posts often contain dramatic statements like, "All pensioners can now stop paying this bill," or "Everyone over state pension age gets this benefit automatically." In reality, government support usually comes with eligibility rules. Those rules might involve age, income, savings, disability, household composition, or the benefits you already receive. Ignoring those details creates confusion and sometimes disappointment when people discover the situation is more complicated than the headline suggested. Another issue worth mentioning is that some pensioners delay applying because they worry the process will be too complicated. It is true that forms can sometimes feel overwhelming, especially output you are not comfortable using computers or online services. But help is available. Family members, trusted friends, local advice organisations and charities often assist older people with completing applications or understanding official letters. Asking for help with paperwork is very different from asking for financial help. Sometimes all someone needs is another pair of eyes to explain a question or gather the necessary documents. You should also keep important paperwork organised. Official letters about your state pension, benefit awards, council tax, energy bills, and other household costs can become extremely useful output you later decide to check your eligibility for additional support. Many applications require information about income, savings, or household circumstances. Having those documents together can make the process much quicker and less stressful. It also helps output you ever need to contact an organisation about a decision or update your information following a change in circumstances. Something else that deserves attention is the importance of reporting changes when required. Output your income changes, someone moves into or out of your household, or your financial circumstances alter significantly, it may affect your entitlement to certain benefits or discounts. Keeping information up to date helps ensure you receive the correct amount of support while avoiding unnecessary complications later. Many pensioners worry that reporting a change automatically means losing benefits, but that is not always the case. Sometimes the change has little effect, and in other situations it may actually increase the support available. It is also encouraging to see more families having open conversations about retirement finances. Years ago, many people considered money a private subject that should never be discussed. Today, more sons, daughters, and grandchildren are helping older relatives understand online services, compare information, and access official guidance. These conversations can make a real difference because they reduce the chances of someone missing support simply because they never knew where to look. As we continue through this discussion, remember the main message. The goal is not to convince you that every pensioner automatically stops paying 9 different bills from one particular date. The goal is to help you understand that there are genuine discounts, concessions, and support schemes available across different parts of the UK, and checking your eligibility could reduce your everyday expenses. That is a far more useful message than believing sensational claims that promise instant savings for everyone. The real opportunity lies in understanding the rules, knowing your own circumstances, and making sure you are not leaving valuable support unclaimed simply because nobody ever told you it existed. For many pensioners, retirement is about enjoying the years they worked so hard to reach. Worrying constantly about bills, cutting back on essentials, or missing out on support because of misunderstandings should not become part of that experience. Spending a little time reviewing what assistance may be available could provide greater financial confidence and make everyday life just a little easier. And sometimes that peace of mind is worth just as much as the money itself.